Ok, la settimana scorsa ho presentato un intero libro chiamato Velasquez Method e il capitolo 4 era sull'attacco, completamente sull'attacco. Ho presentato credo almeno 10 partite di quel capitolo per dare un'idea a coloro che sono interessati come me ai libri di scacchi sul contenuto. Adesso vorrei mostrarvi questo libro di Alexei Bezgodov, Defend Like Petrosian. Questo è tutto, this is all about defense. The extraordinary defense skill of the world champion Petrosian. The book starts with an introduction by here we go, part 1, but before the part 1 there is the introduction. In the introduction, Bezgodov clearly states some very important points that we should know regarding the defense. How do we defend? Because this is the thing, computers are really good at defense because they don't get tired, they don't get psychologically depressed, and so how do we learn from computer? We can't really because they are not human. But from Petrosian and Bezgodov we can learn. And here I would like to read you these steps, okay? I will read you these steps. So, Bezgodov at page 9 writes, what are the main features of this defensive play? Intolerance for passivity, the search for counterplay at the cost of any concession, a readiness for unbalanced positions, the sharpest tactical vision, composure in the handling of the worst positions, optimism, a tendency to relax after emerging from a bad position, a love of exchange sacrifices, a penchant for king's journey in the most dangerous situations. Often hard to explain pawn weakenings. Preference for knights over bishops, an extremely rare quality for a player of such level. A depressed mood in the worst minor piece ending without counterplay. So clearly a set of qualities that one should know. The book is divided into, no? The first part is Descent and Evolution, and the second part is Tigrans against the Titans. The Titans are obviously Botvinnik, Smyslov, Tal, Fischer, Spassky. The chapter about Fischer is really small because in any case there is a loss, I think, of Petrosian, because Fischer was steamrolling everybody, and that's the truth. But of these chapters I do believe there are very beautiful games like the one against Bronstein, Larsen, Keres. So I will try to go through each chapter and give you some of the games for your enjoyment. Of course, when you get the book, you will see them all, because this is a collection of 175 games played by Petrosian. So it's a beautiful collection, okay? I hope you will enjoy the book. Let's start with the game that I want to show you today. So I will start with game number 1 because it's an exchange sacrifice. Exchange sacrifices are very important for learning chess. They really give us some great ideas. This game was Dunaev white against Tigran Petrosian black. Petrosian was from in this case. This game was played in Leningrad Championship, URSR. It was the Junior Leningrad Championship, 1946. So a long time ago, right? e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, e6, bishop e2, a6, a4, bishop e7, bishop e3, queen c7, knight b3, b6. At this point here we can see that this is a hedgehog formation, okay? So this is a type of formation and system that you can use also as white, and Fischer has employed that too with great results. f4, bishop b7, bishop f3, knight b d7, castle, rook c8, and g4. And here there is a diagram. So when the author generally put a diagram, hey, we need to stop and think a little. What would you play here if you were black? Notice, unfortunately, the diagram is from white side, also if Petrosian is playing as black. And I'm telling you this because I also review the books. So I tell you the weaknesses of some books, right? Because if your hero is black, playing black, they should turn the diagram from the black side, in my opinion. So in that time, Petrosian played knight c5. He says that a more adult Petrosian would have played castle. But there was also the possibility to play h5. So just to give you an idea of the opening. So knight c5, knight takes c5, b takes c5. It seems that d takes c5 was weaker as a move, and this is kind of interesting, right? Because that starts to make you think upon pawn formation, pawn chain. g5, knight d7, a5, probably here the idea could be knight a4, b6, rook b8. Queen d2, bishop c6, knight a4, like I told you. Obviously if he played a5, the reason was he want to go there with his knight. I'm not saying it's the right move, but the idea is clearly behind the bet. Rook b4, b3. And let's see. Let's see what happens. What do you think? And this is important because there is another diagram here, right? So after rook b4, b3, there is the diagram. What do you think black would play here? Notice this is Petrosian. Is famous for exchange sacrifice. The reality is that this is a very young Petrosian, not an old one, okay? So the fact that he already understood this concept, he shows that he was already a master level player. So you can pause the video and think what you would play in this situation, or you can continue to see. In the game, Petrosian played rook takes e4, but there was also the possibility to play this one, okay, h6. This is a reality. But this is very, very strong. This is why we are watching Petrosian game, because we want to learn. Would you have played rook takes e4? I don't know. Here the author writes, by modern day standard, this move looks fairly simple and even obvious. But it was Tigran Vartanovich himself who first introduced this sort of positional exchange sacrifice into the armory of a chess player. Thus, this game, despite the modest strength of the white player, occupies an important place in the modern history of chess. And okay, so this is also why we buy books, because books tell us the history of a game, the evolution of a game, and they tell us who are the main actors that changed some ideas and gave us some concepts that we use also today, like this one. Okay? Okay, so white played c4. Obviously, and here I think would have been important in a sense. You should have asked you what happens if you play this, right? But this is, I think, is a kind of important thing that is not being put in the book. So let me check. So I admit that I check with a tablet, not even with a big computer, and the tablet also with Stockfish 16 would play this. But I ask what happens if you play this. It seems that white goes to minus 2.8, but do you really see the 3-point disadvantage for white? Doesn't make sense, right? Because you can answer this. Now the interesting part is, obviously I'm playing kind of human moves, is the following. That Stockfish wants to play this at a certain point, he prefers this, and when you take, for example, he could take here, right? So he doesn't play it right away, he plays this because he wants to do that. Okay. Then this plays something like this. Tack, tack. Can you guess what Stockfish would play? He plays something like this. Which obviously one could think, okay, he takes back. Well, no, he thinks about playing this move. So clearly, at that point in history, already Petrosian was playing pretty well, and also white was playing pretty well, honestly. I don't see them playing very badly, because if we just watch the game very fast, we cannot understand the nuances that we are witnessing in the game, right? They are kind of difficult to understand. Clearly, this bishop in the center is a problem, especially if you open this file and you could go here, right? Then this other one maybe, I don't know, but it's not something so evident like a material advantage that we could see, right? In any case, let's see how the game continued. I will put the position back in the board. Okay, so this is the position that I saw. In this position, Petrosian played rook takes e4. The game continued with c4, which is a move confirmed by the computer, but the author doesn't tell us why not this. However, the author puts another move, that is this, knight c3. And this I want to see it because, again, it doesn't tell me why he came out with this move. I think maybe he plays this because he's trying to defend this, he's trying to trap this, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Rook takes e3, queen takes e3, and oh, sorry, my mistake. It's a move after, practically. Sorry. After c4, no, but this is kind of trap. h6, and white played g6. Instead, the author says he could have played this. This now makes sense, yes. This now makes sense. But again, g6 is even more interesting, because why g6 is a good move? Because it keeps everything blocked, so it cannot really attack on this side. But of course, we will see that Petrosian we will be able to, in fact. So let's see what happens. After g6, he plays f5. I think I have seen this game, probably. Knight c3, knight f6, and bishop takes e4. Yeah, I think I have already seen this game, because here there is this important question, which is how black should recapture. So try to pause the video and guess how black should recapture on e4. The computer prefers knight takes e4, but it doesn't tell us which computer, since there are so many engines today. Petrosian played f takes e4. The idea is to create a mass of central pawns that at a certain point will get the material back. Rook a d1, d5, c takes d5, e takes d5, f5. I don't know, this f5 doesn't make much sense, honestly, because it opens this diagonal, but especially this square now becomes available also for some kind of maneuvers. d4, bishop f4, and queen c8. And here there is another diagram, and it says one has the impression that black has a huge amount of extra material. Effectively, that is the case. Knight e2, queen takes f5, bishop g3, queen takes g6, knight f4, queen f7, queen c2, g5, knight e2, d3, boom. And here white resign. Here it says a striking positional achievement by Tigran Petrosian, which had a great influence on his whole play. And then there is another game. Okay, so this is the final position of game 1. Beautiful game. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, there are 175 games by Petrosians, so one can surely enjoy more gems like this one. And eventually I think that point on e4 must be analyzed a little better.